Hi, hello everyone. Now, if you have a child or you are preparing for the forthcoming WAEC, I want you to pay attention to this question. It's a very quick question and it's a practical question. Just pay attention to the end of this video. And if you know you've not followed this page, make sure you do that at the end of this video. Now, question like this, normally see questions like this in external exams, especially practical exams or alternative to practical exams. Now, what if you are faced with this question like this? The table like this and you're asked to fill this table. This table is coming from acid-base titration question. It's always present in question number one on that practical chemistry question. If you're faced with a question like this, they ask you to fill the missing numbers here and also calculate the volume of the acid that was used for that neutralization reaction based on this table. How are you going to attempt that? Now, it's very easy. Let me show you. First of all, let me explain what this table means. This table is talking about the volume of acid that was got to the data that was gotten from a particular acid-based titration. Now, this is the Burette reading. The Burette reading is being carried out three times: the first, second, and third, in order to get the average, right? First, second, and third. Now, this number here are the final reading of the first, second, and third. These are the initial reading. Initial reading is the number of the value that you started with when you started your practical, the Burette reading, the initial volume of acid at this one here, and the final is what you got at the ending part of the Burette reading. This is the final. Now, the volume of the acid is simply the final minus the initial gives you the volume of the acid. Like I said, the initial is the number of the Burette reading in the acid you started with, and at the end of the titration, the final is what you got at the end. So, in order for us to get the volume of acid, the final minus the initial will give us the volume of acid. And and secondly, the question that follows after this is calculate the average volume of acid use. I'm going to show you how to calculate average volume of acid use. First of all, let's fill this table. Now, this table explains that at the beginning of the titration, the student that did this started with zero from the bullet reading zero, and after carrying out the titration technique, he or she got 18.2 at the final. So how do you get the volume of acid? Volume of acid is the final volume of acid minus the initial. If you do that, you simply get 18.20. Now, since we've known that volume of acid is final minus initial, what if we are given a table that's the final um, volume of acid is missing? How do you get the final? We know that this plus minus this gives us volume of acid. So definitely, how to get the final volume? You are able to add up these two. So if you add up 18.2 and 18.4, that gives us 36.6. So mean that the person got 36.60 after carried out the titration the second time. Now the third time, how do you now get the initial volume? We know that the volume of acid is the final minus the initial. So simply the volume of the initial is still going to be final minus the volume of acid, and that gives us 0.00. So this is a complete table. That's the first step. Second step, the second question that comes with this, they usually ask, calculate the volume of acid use. Now, the volume of acid use, initially, usually, we are meant to say the first volume of acid, second plus third. You add all of them, divide by three. That's the average. But in this case, we have to ask ourselves, these numbers, they must be in concordance with each other, meaning that they must not be dispersed. They must not have a wide range. So, what is the agreed range or the minimum range that this volume of acid should get? It should be plus or minus 0.2 from each other. So anyone that is not plus or minus 0.2 from each other in this your volume of acid, know that there's an error there, right? Or it is not acceptable, or it is not in concordance with other values. So let's see which of them is odd. Which number here is odd? Odd in the sense that it is not within zero plus or minus 0.2 from each other. Now, if you look at these two, the first and the second, it is within 0.2 from each other. If you minus these two numbers, you get 0.2 is within that range. But these two, if you subtract these two numbers, you get 0.3. It is more than our agreed range of volume of acid. And also the first and the third is also above zero point 0.2. This is zero point 0.5 from each other. So this man here is the odd number. So in order for us to get our average volume of acid, the average of them, we are not taking the three of them because this particular one is not within our agreed range, zero point 0.2. So this two is within our agreed range. So we say the first reading plus the second reading. Now, instead of saying divided by 3, because they're no longer 3, it's now two values you're making use of. We say divided by 2. And that's simply 18.20 plus 18.40 divided by 2. And if you take the average of these two, volume of acid used based on this table is 18.30 cm cube. Hope you learned something to do. Make sure you share to your friends that is preparing for the forthcoming external WAEC examination. Have a nice day and bye for now.